let's take a look at how we solve proportions. This is where we know that the two ratios are in a proportion, so the left side is always equal to the right side. If you're not for sure if it's a proportion, you can't necessarily do this, but if they said solve the proportion or find the missing number in the proportion, you'd be okay. And here's your missing number. So if you've got three of the numbers in a proportion, but you're missing one, you've got some different options of how to solve this. Sometimes this works. How can I make a 2 into a 4 with multiplication? If you're going from a smaller number to a bigger number, you could say, well, I could just multiply it by 2, because 2 times 2 is 4. And so if I multiply the top of this ratio by 2, I have to do the same to the bottom. So 16 times 2 would be 32, and x is 32. Sometimes with the easier proportions, this is a great method, and it can save you a little bit of time. But we've also got a foolproof method that'll work even if you don't have an easy multiplication route there. So what we do is we use a thing called cross multiplication. And we used that to check it in the last lesson. That was one of the ways we could check it. And so it's 16 times 4 is what happens there. And 16 times 4 is 64. But you'll notice that we have a number left over, and it doesn't have a partner to multiply with right here. And it's this 2. So after you've multiplied the two numbers that are diagonal from each other, you take this third number that doesn't have a partner, so to speak, and you divide it. So 64 divided by 2 will equal 32. And that's what we said x was before. And here's how you can check to make sure that you're right. 16 times 4 is 64. And what's 2 times 32? Because this x is a 32. 2 times 32 is also 64. So that works out. At times, they're going to move the variable or the missing number into a different spot. Don't worry about that. Find the two numbers that are across from each other. 100 times 20. Let me check that on my calculator. Yeah, it's 2,000. So 100 times 20 is 2,000. And then we have the 4 left over. There's no partner there to multiply with that. So we're just going to divide it by 4. And we get 500. So m is equal to 500. And let's just go back through and double check our work. 100 times 20 is 2,000, and 4 times 500 is also 2,000. So we know that, yes, that is the correct answer because it passes our cross multiplication test, and we know for sure that it is a product. These are the simpler proportions. In the next lesson, we'll get it to a slightly higher level, and we'll also be using story problems.